So last we heard about debunking some of the criticism of who was the author, the constructor.
Mother Magdalena, the superior here, there were only about 5 sisters, so she would have taken care of the ledger of expenses. And we know on March 12th, 1881, Mother Magdalena paid Frank Rokas $150 for work in their new school building. This is a picture of the school building built in 1880. St. Vincent's Hospital looked exactly the same as that. The very French they almost look identical, French architecture. And we know from history that Frank Rokas built a staircase in St. Vincent's Hospital Sanitarium first. Then Mother Magdalena hired him to do work in their school building. And when she, in her ledger, any work done in the school, she would write in the school building. Any work done in the chapel, she would write in the chapel. Well, Francie Rokas was paid $150 for work in the school building. Now, if you go on the internet, they mention how Francie Rokas was paid this $150, but just failed to mention that where the work was done. By leaving out that fact, it totally distorts their viewpoint, claiming that he was paid to do this staircase for that. The second thing is, after he was paid, he moved to southern New Mexico. Fast forward to October 1894, Mother Magdalena died of natural causes, so she was no longer around to defend herself. 2 months later, Frank Rokas was murdered in southern New Mexico. And a letter was sent from someone, Mary Jane Cook does not stipulate who. I've heard through a third source that it was Mr. Oliver Lee, an infamous internal state senator, representing one of the districts in southern New Mexico. Might have written a letter, but whoever did wrote a letter that arrived on January 4th, 1895 to a Mr. Quintus Millay on one day. And on January 5th, he went to the New Mexican and posted it as an obituary. So in the New Mexican, it said, quote, a letter from Las Cruces to Mr. Quintus Millay of date yesterday states that Frank Rokas was found dead at his ranch near La Luz a few days ago. He was a Frenchman and was favorably known in Santa Fe as an expert worker in wood. He built a handsome staircase in Loretto Chapel and St. Vincent's Sanitarium. So the naysayers say that, well, we have a newspaper account, a letter, and the payment of $150. End of story. Frank Rokas built the staircase. Well, I already explained to you why the payment doesn't mean a thing. But when it comes to the newspaper, what the proponents of that don't bother to mention is that if you put an obituary in a newspaper never investigates an obituary. You could put your great-grandmother was the Duchess of York, England, and they'll put it in there. And also, newspapers in the Wild West were known for something called yellow journalism, in which they would exaggerate stories to sell the newspaper. So it'd be like buying a newspaper at the cash register of a local grocery store. But when you go on the internet, they talk about it as if they're talking about the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. So the fact that it was an obituary is not conclusive evidence either. And as far as the letter is concerned, it's our belief that the man who wrote the letter made a miscue, assuming Francie Rokas built the staircase in the chapel, when in fact, according to Mother Magdalena's own payment, it was for work in the school building. So therefore, it debunks all three things. Now, if that was the end of it, maybe people could still argue for him. But the sisters were telling their students right from the beginning they thought St. Joseph built the staircase. Word of that got back to Mother Magdalena's superior general in Lawrence, Kentucky. And the superior general of their religious order wrote to Mother Magdalena and point blank asked her who built the staircase. And according to Mary Jean Cook's own book, quoting one of the superiors of the Sisters of Loretto here at the Loretto Academy for Girls, Mother Magdalena wrote to her Mother Superior. Let's see if I can get the exact quote from the book. Quote, Mother Magdalena herself wrote to the Mother Superior making the statement that she did not know the man. Well, she obviously knew French Rousseau since she wrote that, since she paid him $150 for work in the school building. And so either she lied to her Mother Superior, broke her vow of obedience to God and to her Superior, and endangered her immortal soul, or the man who wrote the letter from southern Mexico made a miscue. And we think it's more reasonable that the man made a miscue than Mother Magdalena lied to her Mother Superior. And for all those reasons, we believe it throws into question who built it. Historically, nobody knows. And that's why we can say, who built the staircase, nobody knows. Why does it stand? Nobody knows. And where does wood come from? Nobody knows. And that's why we still refer to this as the miraculous staircase.
Wow, very interesting. You've done a good job in giving it a good explanation. So I thank you for your time and your efforts. We'll pass this on to our little group. We're called Project Genesis.
Wonderful.
And so it's Jewish Christian learning. And so we go on a pilgrimage across the country, saying hello to different people that we meet along the way, hitting a lot of sacred spots, and of course God's creation. Amen. We're going to go out to the Grand Canyon now.
And where are you all
I'm from New York, in New York, Long Island, yeah.
Oh, well, one of my childhood friends is a rabbi, Rabbi Michael Mifflin, and he's back east.
Okay.
But I don't, there's so many rabbis, I'm sure you don't.
There's a bunch, amen. Well, thank you for your time, Richard. God bless you and keep it going here.
Thank you.